Welcome back. You're watching Monday Special. We'll continue to bring you details of that disturbing developing story of the explosions in Isili. But we're discussing obesity tonight, and of course the link between what we eat and weight gain. And let's take a look at some statistics that have shown that the numbers of the overweight and obese in the country are on the rise, with the prevalence rates currently standing at 13% of the population. That is more than 5 million people. Obesity affects women more than men. 10%. The figures of obesity in rural areas are fast catching up with urban figures, which are at 20%. Childhood obesity is a precursor for adult obesity and ill health. Those are the numbers we have for you on the screen. We'll be explaining why this is the case. And of course, this was according to the 2008-2009 Kenya Demographic Health Survey study that showed 25.1% of women aged between 15 and 49 are overweight or obese. So certainly affects more women than it does men. And being either overweight or obese substantially raises one's risk of suffering. There we have some of the risks outlined for you. Hypertension, which we once discussed here on Monday Special, type 2 diabetes, coronary heart disease, stroke. Then we have gallbladder disease, respiratory problems, and various cancers as well, all linked to what we eat and obesity as well. That's a look at some of the statistics. And let's have a look at the set before I introduce you to my panelists. You can see that we have food, and this is the food that especially affects people in terms of overindulging in it. I think we'll come back to that in just a moment. Let's introduce my panelists first. Let's start at my far end, and we have David Otieno Okello. He's currently in imports and exports, supplies and distribution. David's story is one of inspiration. You might have seen him in Slim Possible here on Citizen TV. He has lost over 40 kgs. He'll tell us about his struggle with initial obesity and how he managed to curb it. So we'll be talking to him very shortly. And then next to David, we have Alice Ndong, nutrition and dietetic consultant, lecturer at the Technical University of Kenya Department of Nutrition. She'll be giving us what exactly is in the food we eat and how do we need to manage the portions in order to avoid gaining weight, excessive weight, and becoming obese. And then we have Professor Gerald Yonga. He's right next to me. He's an associate professor of medicine and cardiology and chair of Department of Medicine at the Aga Khan University Hospital, Nairobi, since July 2007. So they'll all be talking to us. Hussein Mohammed will be joined in studio later on with two people who are currently struggling with their own weight, and they'll be telling us their stories. Take a look at what's on the table, because this really scared me when Alice Ndong, our nutritionist, brought it in. Alice, maybe I should let you explain what we're looking at on the table. Very quickly explain to us what this is.
Okay, first of all, this is fat. This is how fat looks like in the body. Okay. And this is only like 2.3 kilos of fat. All right. So when you add 10 kilos, you add like 4 plus of this.
So it's a huge chunk.
It's a huge chunk. If you do a body fat percentage, if you're obviously overweight, then you have a lot of fat.
Okay. And then
we have, this is just how much fat you'll get from about 250 grams of fat.
That's a plate of chips.
A plate of chips. Just a small portion of chips will give you this much fat. If you eat chips every day of the week, and which is usually a problem of people who work in the city center, I find that a lot, then this is how much fat you're taking in a week.
Wow.
And if you take sodas, about 300 ml of soft drinks every day, this is about how much sugar you're taking every day. And that's if you're taking one, and we know people are addicted, they can take so much soda, or take 1 liter a day or 2 liters a day. So it means they're taking so much sugar, and of course the long-term risk is a problem.
All right.
And my favorite plate here is just a teaching aid. Really.
Okay, which we'll come to a little later. Thank you for explaining that. Professor, let me start with you. Before I ask you what this can do to someone, you know, their heart and their lives, tell us a little bit about the difference between overweight and obesity. A lot of people don't quite understand the difference.
Okay. Yeah, basically the classification is meant to help us the appropriate weight that one can have that is attributable to them. So a weight is usually measured against the height of a person. So if you take somebody's weight and divide by the height in meters squared, we get a measurement called BMI, or body mass index. This is a very good measure and reliable measure for appropriate weight.
And we'll be able to measure that later and show Kenyans. But when is someone overweight? When is someone obese? When is someone underweight? You know, is there a difference between overweight and obese?
Definitely. I know many people have a problem with the word obesity, but it's a technical term. It's not abusive or derogatory. It's actually a technical term which appropriately describes weight. So if you have a body mass index between 19 and 24.9, we say that you have an appropriate weight. This is healthy weight.
Okay.
If it's less than 19, then we say you are underweight. Anything between 25 and 29 is what we refer to as overweight. Anything from 30 onwards is actually referred to as obesity. There are various levels of obesity from 30 all the way to, you know, large numbers like 60. But anything from 30 kilograms per meter squared is referred to as obesity.
So right now, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is really based on the research, obesity appears to be on the rise. Medically, what are the major concerns with someone who actually has obesity, and how concerned should they be about their health?
They should be all the way from overweight. Overweight is the beginning of problems, and the trends, people should worry more about trends early on, because once somebody is obese, the struggle is really difficult, because cutting is much more difficult than putting on. So the trend should be very, very significant. If you have obesity, there are many risks, as you've mentioned, and the risk multiply with time. The risk of developing diabetes, for example, and hypertension is 2 or 3 times more. Okay,
before I come to Alice and David, a few more questions. Why does it affect more women than men?
The obesity has many factors that contribute to it. Many people think that genetics is the problem, but the biggest concern about obesity is actually what we eat and how we move around. So the environmental factors are much more important. Then there are cultural habits that also entrench certain of our problems. There are barriers for women more than men, for example, in doing movements and adhering to eating habits.
All right, we'll come back to that a bit later. David, let's go on to you as well. And I know you've carried like a pair of jeans that you used to wear in the days when you were obese. Maybe you can hold them up for us. And that was you how long ago?
8 months.
Okay, just keep holding them up. So wow, when you look at those, what do you think? Do you even believe that you once were that size?
I'm speechless about it, because this is really, really huge. It's about 2.5 meters of material.
Okay.
So I could never get clothes out in the shops to have them custom made, which was really something that I didn't like.
Yeah, I was reading your story, and you talked about the fact that you know, you've battled with weight since, did you say 2008? Is that correct? And then everyone in your family is big. And then finally, what is it that what was the moment that you realized, I have a problem and I need help?
Well, I was having trouble sleeping, and my breathing was irregular, and I tried several times. I started off with swimming. I gave up because I could not get enough encouragement from my peers. Nobody was there to tell me, hey, you look bad, or you know, everybody was okay. So I was in my comfort zone. But as the breathing problem started, my sleep was not good. And Slim Possible came by, and that's when the real journey started. And this made the journey successful, because I got a chance to understand what my body is and what I need to do about it.
At your worst, how much did you weigh?
At the highest I've gone is 158 kilos.
And now what's your weight?
The lowest I've gone is actually 110, and I vary between 110, 114 to 115.
Do you know what your ideal is supposed to be?
My ideal is supposed to be 78.
Okay.
And although I'm not very optimistic to get there. But I'm still intending to lose more in the next 6 months. Probably my target is to be 90 to 95 kilos.
And then you hope to then stretch that target to get to your ideal.
Yes.
I should still commend you. Don't be hard on yourself. So far, so good. You've made tremendous progress. Don't lose heart at you saying, I don't know when I'll get there. You never know, and I think you're encouraging a lot of people.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I'm actually helping quite a number of people. I give free advice. I share with them my journey. And there are people in a lot of trouble out there. It's only that they don't want to come out.
All right.
Yeah,
and we'll come to that in just a moment in terms of reaching out. Alice, let's come to you. What do you feel when you look at the way Kenyans eat? Do you feel like there's a problem in the way we eat?
Of course there's a problem. It's like people's lifestyles have changed. You know, our grandparents used to eat a lot of food in the morning. They go farming, they come home, they eat some food maybe at 3, 4, and then they go to sleep. But we don't have the pleasure of eating at 4 o'clock. So you find that people eat different meals at different times. A lot of people skip breakfast and then maybe skip lunch, depending on what your job position is. Then they go home and have a huge dinner. And that huge dinner is going to affect how you sleep. You don't sleep properly. And that's the easiest way of gaining weight. So somebody is wondering, I'm not eating, but my weight is going up because they're eating too much at the wrong time. And then when you don't eat breakfast, you're always tired and fatigued.
Let me interrupt you there. I was talking to some of my colleagues in the newsroom just now, and they said, please make sure you talk to the nutritionist and explain, because what you've just described is what they were saying. Heavy dinner, they don't eat breakfast, but that's essentially sometimes because of the job. You're constantly on the go, you have an early morning assignment. By the time you get home, it's only dinner that you can have. So they're asking, what alternatives can you recommend for them? How can they manage to eat well throughout the day, even when that time isn't really there?
Okay, first of all, it's always good to understand why it is dangerous to skip breakfast and have a large dinner. If you skip breakfast, your brain doesn't have glucose, so it chooses a stress hormone for energy, and that makes you extremely tired and fatigued. Most people will have headaches, and then they keep popping pills. When you eat a lot at night, I said you won't sleep properly, so you're not rested, you're not rejuvenated, you wake up tired. That continues for a while, you get a burnout, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, everything goes wrong. So for somebody in news who actually has to, you know, go to different places
and has to always be on the go,
I always tell you, make sure you eat your breakfast like a king. Do not leave the house without breakfast, even if you have to wake up at 3.
They just mentioned, she'll probably say you need to eat breakfast like a king, and that's not consoling us because it's difficult. We have so much more to talk about. I don't know if we can get a shot of the food on the table, if we're able to. I don't know if my director can allow us to get a shot of the food on the table, because this is essentially, and Alice, I stand to be corrected, this is what we take in a lot of. This is would you describe this as this is what Kenyans eat?
This is what some people eat, but maybe people need to understand that it's not only this that makes you overweight. You can have your ugali or githeri, but you're eating large portions of it. You're still going to be overweight, and that explains the obesity in the rural area.
Right, yeah.
So this is obviously a problem with maybe high and middle income people who are overweight, you know, but you also know obesity is also found in low income.
Okay.
So apart from, of course, this will make your weight high because you're talking about this much fat, you know, and maybe this much sugar in a meal, you know, not counting the fried chicken and things like that.
We'll come back to more of that. Remember, you can use the hashtag Monday Special KE. Send us your questions. A lot of you already sending questions. Some of you even saying, well, if I'm big, I still consider myself beautiful. And that's something we need to commend a lot of people about. So when does it become a concern? So keep sending them in using the hashtag Monday Special KE. SMSs on 22422 as well. Let's now cross over to Hussein Mohammed to get the stories of 2 people who are struggling with obesity and what they're doing to try and change their lifestyle. Hussein.
Right, Janet, and I don't mean to throw you off balance, but already the debate here with the cameraman is somebody at the end of this bulletin is going to eat that food. I'm not saying it's you. But anyway, to our guests tonight, we have Susan Wanganga on my right and Muhammad Hanif Habib on my left. These are 2 people that are bold enough to come out and say that they're struggling with weight. Susan currently weighs 111 kilograms. Yes. And Muhammad weighs 144 kilograms. Muhammad, of course, is a businessman, motor vehicle spare parts business. And Susan is a business lady, currently on further studies, third year taking a BTech student in institutional hospitality management. I'll start with you. When did it start? When did all this start for you?
I can say I've been struggling with my weight for around 10 years, but now I've been working on it with the help of a nutritionist, and I think the best part of it is that I go on reducing
your weight.
Yeah, because I've been avoiding the fatty foods, I've been avoiding sugary foods. The only habit I've seen that has made me add some weight some few years ago is eating late at night. And daytime I don't eat so much. So I've realized that has been making me add up my weight. Yes.
Of course, if you're free to talk about this, you said until 10 years ago. Before that, what were you weighing?
Before that, I was weighing around 80 kilograms.
80 kilograms.
Yes.
So what would you attribute that to? Is the kind of foods you were taking and everything that?
Mostly is because I sleep late, so I tend to eat late. That's what I've noticed. That's what the doctor has been telling me. So I'm working on it now, and I know that if I change completely, he told me I will drop like so seriously.
Mohammed, when did it start for you?
Since young I've been big, but I've always controlled it because in school days played a lot of football, very sporty. But after school, once I started working.
That is after high school?
After high school, slowly 4 kilos, 3 kilos, and then the bed living started coming in, no exercising and whatever, and it just gradually went on until I got to 155 kilos. Which was crazy. I mean, mobility became an issue. Everything becomes an issue then. And so many medical problems, all the complications start coming in.
After that?
After that. And after that, consulted Dr. Sonia, the nutritionist, my instructor at the gym, and I've been working, and it's hard work, but I thank God it's coming down. It's not easy, but it is coming down.
When was the crisis moment for you? When did you realize that this is now a big problem?
It was a Sunday, and we overdid it. And I got home and I felt my chest tightening, I felt my body tightening. And my brother-in-law and my wife rushed me to the doctor. Something to do with the gas, and I was really scared. I thought I had a stroke or something coming on. And that moment I decided no. I've got very young children, I've got to sort myself out.
Of course, and you have 2 children?
Yeah, I have 2 children. Inshallah, another one expected soon.
Inshallah. Okay, the most difficult part maybe for you with struggling with weight. What is the most difficult part?
The way guys view you.
Look at you.
Sometimes you can be out.
By guys, you mean everybody?
I mean the public people, wherever, maybe your friends, school. You know, weight is not taken like a nice thing. So sometimes you'll be teased, but you'll feel it's not nice. Someone will tell you, yes, Suzanne, if someone finds you eating anything, they'll say, that's why you are big, you know? So it makes you feel funny every time. Maybe when like when we are out for a drink with friends, or out for ranches or something, then always they'll pick on you and always pick on what you're eating. They'll say, that's why you're big. So it makes you feel out of place, and I don't like it.
Does that affect you as well?
I'll give you an example. Once in Mombasa, sat in a matatu and the guy says, utalipia watu wawili. Now that was not nice.
I'm sorry about
Severally, there is a bit of discrimination against big people. It is there. And it depresses. It does depress big people. I think Susan will agree with me at some point. It does depress us. But I think rather than depress us, that should motivate us to do something about it.
But do you think people should, treat that differently when you talk about how it affects you and how it depresses people? Maybe you can deal with it. Do you think there are others who can deal with it? Maybe those who are at a very young age, children in school?
Children in school, yes, they get discriminated. It's hard. And sometimes they just let go and you let it be. And that is the sad part of it. And this is the awareness, and what Citizen is doing today is fantastic. That awareness that some big people or a lot of big people need help. Yeah, need direction. Yeah, show them a direction, how to work with a nutritionist, how to work with a trainer, take professional advice. And losing weight, it took years to put it on.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to be magic. It's going to take hard work and it's going to take time. Yeah, and I think more than losing weight, I think once you start training and you start losing that, you become physically fit. That feeling, that sense of fulfillment is the beginning, and then it's a journey.
Right. And
it's small steps at a time.
Right. What have you done about this? And since when did you start doing something about you struggling with weight?
Oh, it's been like 5 years. Yeah.
What did you do? What did you decide to do?
Okay, I decided to. Okay, I was told about this doctor, Dr. Sonia. So I talked to him. I found him, and we talked about it. Then he realized it's because of maybe I didn't know some things, like eating late, eating some foods which without nice duration of time. Maybe I eat far apart meals. Right. And he showed me how to do it. Instead of eating maybe morning, then you eat in the evening. There is a way you do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I can see at some point you are weighing 140 kilograms.
Yeah, that time I told you. Right. Yeah. Then there is a time I like gave up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like 7 years ago. Yeah. But then I again started following it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What about you? 155, you said?
155.
Right. Yeah.
And then I had lost weight previously.
Right.
Up to 30 kilos. And then it just came back as quickly as it went. And there were different diets and whatever. But I realized they were very painful and not the right way to do it. Now, after meeting Dr. Sonia and my instructors at Gym and Tonic, it's been fun now. I'm in this program now. It is fun. The important thing is I'm enjoying it, and on a daily basis, you see the strength that is in the body. You start enjoying it, and you start feeling nice. And this is what Dr. Sonia said. Don't look at the weight first.
Right.
Start getting that feeling.
Right.
Yeah. And I can see a difference. It's huge.
Right. But thank you. Really thank you for making time for us. Susan Wang and Mohammed Hanif Habib, two people struggling with weight, but of course they're working to that right now. Janet, like they said, when they feel ridiculed, they get motivated. But of course, some also get depressed.
Yeah, that's true, Hussein. And interestingly enough, when Mohammed made the comment about the Matatu operator saying he's going to pay for 2 people, David was actually like, it's actually good if people get that kind of pressure. It's a wake-up call. I thought that was very interesting. So it's okay to not to get ridiculed, but it's okay for that to happen?
Yeah, people need to give us pressure from out there. Because once you're in your comfort zone, you'll feel, okay, I'm just fat. One day, I'll cut down.
Yeah.
But the moment you're teased or something happens to you, you get emotional, and this drives you to want to do something about it. I used to have the same thing, you know, when kids in schools would be like, kuya takukalia utapasuka, and it helped me. When I think about it, now I look different from what I was.
Maybe you're strong for some people, and maybe later on you'll advise on people who are really sensitive about it, how they can get over it. Just before we take a break, a few quick questions, Alice. Some people, this is Amaji Vivian on Twitter. She's saying, breakfast makes me nauseous. I prefer to skip it. What would you recommend as a nutritionist?
First of all, maybe why do they get nauseous? What happens if you eat a late dinner? Digestion takes like so long, 7 to 8 hours, especially if you eat a protein. So by the time you're waking up in the morning, the digestive juices are not cleared, and that is what causes nausea. So to eat breakfast, just learn to eat a small dinner, and with time, you'll be able to eat breakfast.
So it's about adjusting. Another quick one here. Is it okay to take fruits at night if you don't want to take a meal? Can you have a bowl of fruit salad?
That's fine, as long as you've met your daily requirement, that's okay. But then also how much fruit, because that's the other thing that causes a lot of weight gain. People take too much fruit thinking it's fine, but fructose, the sugar from fruit, is actually very, very dangerous.
Yeah,
and also can be blamed for weight gain.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So they can have fruit, but how much?
How much? Okay.
Yes.
I think we have some more questions that we want to now put. There we have it on Twitter. Let's see what people are asking. Then we have Jesse Mutoki saying, what are the best foods to take in a day? Let's see if we can have more before they're all answered. Is it genetics or what? Some don't eat a lot but still grow fat, while others can eat excess and remain the same. I think, Professor, you'll be able to answer that for us. At Mutenyo_P, I'm not malnourished. I eat nicely but never grow big. What could be the problem? So that's another issue. At Stanley, Mishani says, how can one prevent being obese? Of course, that's what we're discussing throughout. Do we have any more? Yes, we have Elijah. And then he says, can spirits like Blue Moon and Kingfisher, etc., Kenya cane, be used to burn excess fats in the body? Somehow I think the answer for that is no, but we'll ask. At Mina_Reeve, some people classify obesity as a disease. Why is this so? You would think it's more of a lifestyle choice. Lots more questions coming in. Very quickly, just from what you've picked out, Professor and Alice, if you can just kind of come into those.
Okay, I'll answer the first one that says, what kind of foods can you eat?
Sorry, Alice, sorry to interrupt you. I'm told we need to take a short break.
All right.
So what will happen is we'll try and get those questions again, and we can answer them as soon as we come back. Professor, the same. Remember, 22422 or the hashtag Monday Special KE. We're back after this.